Good morning and happy Friday to you. This is the first Friday in October. And if you are new to this podcast, thanks for being here. I'm recording this live and it'll also be available right here on my website. But I wanted to say hello and say good morning and wish you a happy Aloha Friday. If you're joining me live in the broadcast, I would love to have you pop in and say hello. Tell me where you're saying hello from. Hope you've pulled up a chair, have a mug, because we're going to take the next about 30 minutes to just breathe. We've had a big week, guys, right? A lot of things happening in our world. But this is a new series that I'm doing on a show that I've done for the last 4 years called Coffee Talk with Ronee. Good morning, and some people are showing up here live. So I'm going to take a moment to say good morning. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you doing? Good to have you here. Thanks. Hello, Sarah. Love you. Good to see you here. Hello, Rachel. Happy Aloha Friday. Happy season premiere day. Thank you. So I'm really excited because I'm starting a whole new series for the remainder of 2018. And the reason why I wanted to do something different is because, well, we're at year end. It's October, guys. We're in the last quarter of 2018. So what did you think of 2018 so far? How has your 2018 turned out to be? Good morning, Kay. Good to see you. Good morning, Kathleen. How are you? You have about 7 hours between me and fall break. Yay to all the teachers out there who have fall break. I remember fall break. I had the privilege of teaching high school English classes in the Nashville area for about 13 years. And so it was such a pleasure. I remember fall break. I know my students remember fall break. And yes, I did assign homework over fall break. Let's see, you're great working with Eric. And he's growing so fast, Jeffrey. My goodness. It's amazing what we can get done, and especially on live stream platforms like this. So if you're new to this broadcast, welcome. This is a little thing that I've done for 4 years called Coffee Talk with Ronee. It's a live stream feature that I do right here on my page, and I also am going to be repurposing this content to my website so you can catch it there. But I wanted to take a moment to just talk about this interesting thing that's been on my mind for a while, and I know it's probably been on yours, especially as we look at the 2018 we have. We've got a lot of things going on, not only in our personal world, but in the bigger world, right? Rachel, she really did assign homework, but it was reading, so it was cozy and restful and welcomed. Yes, right. Because it's a great time to, and my students actually had time. So if they were vacationing or they just wanted to take a break, or maybe they were going to have fun, I encourage them to always take time to read. Read something, fill their mind with knowledge and information. So with that in mind, let's start the day. Today's featured mug. How about that for an unexpected mug, right? This is my casual Friday mug, my happy Aloha Friday mug. This is my casual jeans, right? It's even, okay, guys, look, you've got a little baby. Isn't that cute? An unexpected find for a coffee cup that I found at Urban Outfitters on a clearance table at Christmas time. I think it was like $3 for this mug. And so I love finding unexpected little surprises like this, especially if it's in a coffee mug. Have you ever had fun little unexpected surprises happen to you? Maybe shopping finds. Hello, Sylvia. How are you doing? Hello, Carol. Good to see you, my friend. Have you had any really fun, unexpected surprises happen this week? Maybe some of them were expected, but maybe when they happened, they didn't happen exactly the way you thought they would. Right? Why, thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Miss Ronee appreciates that. Or maybe you didn't have any unexpected surprises. Maybe you had different kinds of unexpected surprises, like, really? You know the kind? Like, you pick up a nail in your tire. You are on your way to an appointment or to class or to meet a client or to meet a friend, and you get in a car accident. You have a fender bender, right? unexpected things that they were not on our radar at all. Some people have had to deal with serious unexpected surprises, like several of my friends who live on the East Coast when the hurricane came through. They were not expecting to have to pack up whatever belongings they could fit in their car and drive inland, either trying to hopefully to find a hotel or maybe friends or family to stay with. Other people get unexpected things like diagnoses that they don't expect, perhaps news of a loved one that they weren't expecting, things that completely change the course and direction of our lives. We've even experienced that on social media. All of the changes that have happened on Facebook that has caused social media to really rethink how they do things, how we interact, engagement that we probably had and friends that we were able to see on platforms in 2014. But in 2018 now, the whole algorithm has changed. We didn't know, we didn't get an advanced warning of Facebook's about to change the algorithm. YouTube, Instagram, they're all going to change their algorithms and we're not going to tell you. And you're going to have to figure them out by taking all these courses online to kind of figure out how to hack it so that you can get people to see your stuff. It got harder. It got more complicated. Maybe we had expectations in relationships that got complicated. How do we handle those things? What do we do when we get those unexpected things that hit us out of the blue? So I wanted to share something with you because I really think, I'm always speaking about Jeremiah 29:11. And I found an interesting picture. I'm going to try to share it here on my screen because I want to be able to really help you get a perspective for what we're going to be talking about. So how many of you have had either maybe something unexpected happen, good or challenging? Share those in the comments with me. What's something unexpected? Maybe it was an unexpected find of money in the laundry. Those are always nice. Maybe it was an unexpected check you got in the mail. Maybe it was an unexpected blessing you received or a door opened for you. Or maybe another door closed. Maybe a relationship or a client or a school where you taught. There were seasons of time when I taught and then I received an unexpected curveball in 2013. You go along and you think things are great. And my late husband, who I'd been with for 30 years, received an unexpected diagnosis of a terminal sentence. We went from married with our children living in our family and him being in the entertainment industry, doing stage lighting for shows and coming off of one tour and programming another tour, only to get a message that you now have 9 to 12 months. Your end date is 9 to 12 months. It totally changed our world. I am back living in Dallas. I left in 1995. And when I left Dallas in 1995, I was a different person than the person you see here. The expectations I had when I came to Nashville were very different. And now I am back in Dallas, leaving Nashville where I'd been for 22 years, in a new marriage and a new life. Totally unexpected on so many different levels. Rachel, you found out you were pregnant with Hattie when Levi was 8 months old. Unexpected, but a big blessing. Yes, babies. I've known several people and I've had such a joy watching all of my former students now, many of them either going to college, getting married, and now they're starting their own families. Now they have 2 babies. Unexpected. And so those initial emotions you have when an unexpected circumstance arises, what are they? I know what mine were. Mine was absolutely blinding fear. fear. And yet I wasn't handed the death sentence, my husband was. So many things that change, so many expectations that we have. So I've been reading a really interesting book. It's not a required reading, but if you would love to have a book to think about or to read about, or that I will be referring to a lot in my live stream broadcasts for this fall. So it's the book called The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. Gretchen Rubin has a great podcast called the Happier Podcast, and she's been talking about the four tendencies. The book tagline reads, "The indispensable personality profiles that reveal how to make your life better and other people's lives too." What this book looks at are the four tendencies that people have in the way that they handle expectations. And I found it interesting that as I was dealing with my own expectations of 2018, I happened upon upon her podcast about a year ago, and then she started talking about this. I started finding a common theme in a lot of conversations that I would either see on social media or have with friends, and I found this underlying theme of just, well, I wasn't expecting that, or that was not in my plans, or and I watched and prayed and cried and celebrated with so many of my friends who either had wonderful things, just exciting things that happen, and there's a fear that comes along with those. The unknown. We don't know what's on the other end. We like it when we know all the steps to the destination. When we don't know the destination, there's that gap. So how do we respond? Well, that's why I'm doing this series. That's why I wanted to start this new thing and call it Expectations versus Reality. Because I know that a lot of people face that. You feel obliged to read it now. Are you an obliger? There's 4 different tendencies, and I'm going to be talking about these on and off through the podcast. But if you want to get the copy of the book, I will post a link to that here in the Coffee Talk group. And those are my VIP members who are VIPs of my email list on my website. And on Facebook, you guys will have the link to where you can purchase the book. But here's something interesting that Gretchen talked about. She says, "I was sitting still, but my mind was racing forward with the thoughts about expectations." When I saw those words in this book, I just was like, wow, God, okay, this is kind of cool. So she said, "I grasped at the concept that we all face 2 kinds of expectations: outer expectations and inner expectations." So I want you to think about that for a minute. Okay, so think about outer expectations. Okay, these can take all kinds of forms. All right, so we have outer expectations. We have a job. We have clients with deadlines. We have children that depend on us. We have a spouse that we have to support, communicate with, and be in relationship with. We have friendships, relationships with people. We have relationships with family members. And holidays are always the times where those family situations are just all crammed together for long periods of time. Everybody's just all together. And they hadn't seen each other in a long time, and yet they're all together. So there's those expectations of going into those situations, handling those situations, right? All kinds of outer expectations. There's social media relationships. There's people, there's clients, there's deadlines, commitments, appointments that we've made. Those are all outer expectations, right? Can you think of other outer expectations? Hey, how are you doing, Robert? Good to see you. Yeah, it's a great book, is it? We like it when we know the steps to the destination. When we have a map. How many of you now can drive without referring to your GPS? I remember the days when we used to have to carry a Mapsco in our car and know the maps. You'd know your way around because you weren't guaranteed where you were going, and nobody was telling you the steps along the way, right? So all those outer expectations, we have those going on every day. If you have a job to get up to go to, if you have clients you have to deal with, if you have emails you have to respond to, if you have appointments you have to keep, those are all those outer expectations. Okay. Then the other expectation, okay, so she said there's two. These are inner expectations. Expectations of myself, where I want to see myself in 3 years, in 5 years, where I want to see my children, how I want to see them turn out, what I expect of my students in class when we had, what the expectations I had for them, expectations I have of other people, of my friends, of my family members, of people that I'm in relationship with. So two kinds of expectations. Now, I love, I like to deal with everything in humor. And so I love dealing in things with twos. I love that it's down to two types of expectations. So here's an expectation sometimes I have that I'm sure you may have had, right? Expectations of how we look when we go out in public. I love that on the left, it's like Vin Diesel, and on the right is Will Ferrell. How I love these memes when they come out because they show you, it's like, here's the way I think I look. Here's how I really look. And come on, people, we've done this. You've given those looks to people, right? Please tell me I'm not alone in this. Gretchen Rubin, I would love to contact her and maybe interview her. I think that would be great. I think that would be awesome. I would really enjoy that. So, what we think we look like. Here's something interesting. What we think we look like on social media and how we are in real life. I have a lot of friends who I've made through this wonderful platform and the social media, meeting at conferences and getting to know people or having clients that I work with virtually, and then I end up going to meet them. It's a great thing. So what I look like on social media, how I present myself on these platforms, I want it to line up with who I am in real life. So what you see right here on this broadcast is what you're going to see in person if you actually sit down and had coffee with me, right? You are so Vin. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh, great. Well, thank you, Robert. I really appreciate that. So it was interesting when I was thinking about my 2018. I want you to take a moment and think about your 2018. Do you remember the goals and the resolutions you made in January? How many of you actually remember? Did you have them written down? Do you remember the New Year's? Yeah, we all, way. We sing the Happy New Year song. We toast. We hug. Oh, we just welcome. Some of us are praying our way into to the new year. How many of us remember what we were talking about then? And now it's October. How many of you, let's raise your hand, how many of you, your life turned out exactly like Vin Diesel? You had your plan, you mapped it, it came out exactly the way you thought. Every step you can go back because you have it, of course, you have it in a spreadsheet or you have it in some kind of system or platform, or you can go back on your Facebook. Go back to your posts. Don't you love when memories pop up? Some of them, I wasn't expecting that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. How many of you, your 2018 went exactly according to your plan? Was it an outer expectation that failed? Was it an inner expectation that failed? Was it a failing at all? Maybe it wasn't a fail. No. Nope, definitely not different than you planned. Nope, you had all that. You had planning to sell your house and move, and go out of town. You always track your goals. And that's, you have to. But sometimes those goals change because there are things that happen around us, sometimes things that we didn't expect. How many of you expected social media to change as much as it has in the last year? When Mark Zuckerberg had to sit in front of Congress, as funny as that was, and mind you, thank you for all those funny memes that went out from that, but that was an eye-opening experience for not only him, but for all of us, right? that heck, it did not go according to plan. Right. That's why I love Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. I know them. I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Well, how do you see hope and future in the middle of, news that you weren't expecting, a job change you weren't expecting, a baby coming along that you were not expecting, a move, a terminal illness diagnoses? How do you move past these failed expectations? Maybe you had a friendship that went south, a marriage that went south. Maybe you had a relationship with a family member that was estranged. What happens to those? How do we respond? So Gretchen says in her book, and it's really interesting, and I've just enjoyed finding out about this, because she said inner expectations we place on ourselves, like keeping a New Year's resolution. Outer expectations that others place on us. And here was my crucial insight. Depending on a person's response to outer and inner expectations, that person falls into one of 4 distinct types. So depending on how we respond to outer and inner expectations, we're going to fall into one of 4 different types. You can find out a lot about this on Gretchen's podcast. I'm going to be putting the link to her podcast in our Coffee Talk group. If you check out our podcast, it's called the Happier Podcast by Gretchen Rubin. I'm going to put the title here. Oops. There we go. That's the name of her podcast. So you can check her out on iTunes, I'm sure Spotify, Stitcher, any of the places where you get your podcasts. Check it out. Listen to the Happier Podcast. I want to say it's episode 34. Anyway, you can search her podcast for the 4 tendencies, where she talks about the 4 different types. I'm going to be talking about the 4 different types over the next few weeks. But if you want to check out the book, I highly recommend getting it. It's a really interesting perspective on how we respond. We're also going to talk about the proper ways to respond. What happens when we face things? Good morning, Paula. How are you doing? You try to approach every expectation or situation with gratitude. And I'm trying to look at the comments here because I'm trying to make sure I can see them here. Right. And that is a choice. That right there is a choice, because when we initially have a failed expectation or a surprise expectation, there's always a response of fear. And then we have to choose to push past that into a place where we have gratitude, and we know that whatever we're dealing with, we can face if we handle it properly. A lot of times, a lot of our problems are because we don't respond to some of these expectations the proper way. I'm guilty of it. Oh my gosh, I'm guilty of it. And transitioning, moving back here to Dallas, remarrying and integrating my family and my husband's family, those are all new things that come with all new expectations. And the reality sometimes looks different. I don't know about you, but sometimes for me, my plan is the top photo. God's plan is the bottom one. I saw a funny meme. Sarah posted it on her page, and I'm going to have to share it soon. Maybe I'll share it next week in the broadcast about what God's plan is. And it's this mom with a little boy in a roller coaster, and it's the picture of, here's what God's plan looks like. It's like the kid is like, that's what we look like. Life takes us by the hand and just drags us along. And what we plan usually looks like the top photo. And the reality is the bottom photo. We forget that there are peaks and valleys and situations that we sometimes have to get ourselves out of. I love that photo, Sarah, right? I love that photo. Oh, I want to find that meme so bad, but I don't. Oh, let me see if I can search it. Um, it's hilarious. I'm going to see if I can find it really quickly. But do you find yourself in those situations? I'm going to see if I can find it because it's hilarious. What all of those expectations we have. I don't ride roller coasters. Oh, I found it. Oh, I found it. Oh my gosh, I did find it. Um, let me get the picture. I've got to zoom in on the photo, but I did find it. This is just fabulous. Um, here we go. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. And I think you guys can relate. You can definitely relate. Um, let's see. Where is it? Here we go. I love this. This is going to be great. Okay, where'd it go? Let me take this one out. Here we go. I love this. I saw this on Sarah's page, and I just, this is, of course, is a Google screenshot. But I love this photo, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to print out this photo, and then I want you to print out Jeremiah 29:11 and put it right. I'm going to make a meme. I am. I'm going to make a meme. I don't like roller coasters, and the Texas State Fair is here, and my answer to a lot of those rides is, no, 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 no. I am not going to ride those rides. Because I have motion sickness problems. Don't you love that photo? It's so great. It's so great. But that's exactly what it looks like a lot of times, right? And yet there's a safety bar and parents sitting right there. What is it we're so afraid of? I know what I was afraid of when my life changed. I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid of being alone. I faced a lot of fears. And yet here I am. And here we are having coffee. So if you want to have more of this conversation, I would love to have you join my VIP group. You can go to my website at ronaeharden.com. Actually, my website is under a lot of work right now, so I'm going to try to get that going. Here's the best way to reach me. You can reach me on social media at Ronae Harden. You can find me right here on Facebook at this page, and you can join the Coffee Talk group. It's a VIP group on Facebook where you can join and we can continue the conversation. And then I'm going to put a link to my blog and my website on how you can join the email list and be a part of this. But you can always join me right here Friday mornings at 7:30 a.m. where we're going to sit down and have more conversation about this topic we're dealing with called expectations versus reality. I hope it'll be a blast for you, right? I'm so glad you love memes, Kathleen. You love memes and you hate roller coasters. Well, you know what? I hope this fall series that we're going to do talking about expectations versus reality won't be too bumpy of a roller coaster ride, but I really appreciate you being here live. And you can find me on Facebook right here on this page or on Instagram at Ronae Harden. Okay, I'll put that back up there so you can find me. Find me on Instagram and connect with me. I'd love to connect you there. I love to tell stories. And if you like to tell stories and you need help with your stories, let me know. That's what I do. I'm a writer. I am an educator, a writing instructor, and I'm also an editor. So if you need help with your writing and telling your stories, please let me know. I'd love to help you. Guys, thanks for being here. I really appreciate getting to spend my morning with you, having coffee, sharing with you, and encouraging you. Remember, He knows the plans He has for us. Plans to prosper us, not to harm us. Plans to give us a hope and a future. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back here live next Friday, right here, 7:30 for more coffee. All right? Take care. Have a blessed one. I'll see you then.